and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Sacred Matrix. I'm your host, Janet Kirsten, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Crowley. I have a little bit of feedback. Okay, waiting for that to stop. Our producer is Thomas Becker, also known as Amadpainter, and this is Revolution Radio, Studio B. And our guest today is Anna B. Neely. I think it's Neely or Neely.
Neely.
Her pronouncing. Neely, okay. And Anna is a publisher, writer, experiencer, philosopher, and astrologist. She has been working for publishing companies for years and now has established Prometea Press to give authors a voice. She has 4 books for children published, articles and short stories, and she is preparing for publication a young urban fantasy novel. She also helps people to know themselves through astrological counseling. She is a member of TESA and the Canadian Authors Association, and she will explain to us what TESA is. And so we're going to talk about all kinds of different topics today, and she's going to talk about her experiences with alien encounters. And there's more on Anna on AquarianRadio.com. I have a page on Anna and a bunch of artwork and photos, or not photos, but illustrations. Okay, Dr. Lessin. Hi, honey.
Hi. What's a ya?
Yeah, urban fantasy novel.
That's young adults.
A what?
That is stay for young adults. Yeah, like a little older than teenagers, people. Because I...
okay.
Yeah, I just... That's it.
We don't know the lingo. We don't have to spell simple. Adults. Okay, I can't spell. So, okay, you learn something every day.
Good.
So, tell us about yourself, how you got involved with TESA and publishing and all the good things about your life. And, of course, we do want to talk about your alien encounters and this book that you're involved with called Intersections, A True Story of Extraterrestrial Contact. But let's have you start, and we'll just be silent and let you tell us your story for about 10, 15 minutes. Take it away. And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Janet and Dr. Sasha, for having me here today. It's an honor. I have heard other interviews in this channel, and I really enjoy your program. So, talking about oneself is never easy, but I will do my best. I have been connected with spirituality and astrology for many years, and I didn't know I was an experiencer. I had any contact with alien entities. But a couple of years ago, I contacted with Lesley Clark. And she said, well, why don't you do a session? And I was curious, so I did. She's an hypnotist. And I found out that I had memories. I mean, I cannot say if this is true or not. According with Dr. Mitchell Clark, the memories you have when you are in hypnosis are not imagination. And I believe her. But of course, I cannot give any scientific proof. If somebody needs it, I don't think they will be listening to this program right now. I was really really amazed because I had memories from an alien. Well, I don't know if it was an alien, but it was an entity that was not human and had been with me since I was a child. She had visited me many times, and the interesting thing is I felt like she was taking care of me. There was not spoken communication, and there was a lot of love coming from her. And she was with me. Sorry?
What did she look like?
Oh, she was like an insect. What could be very scary. She was like a mantis religiosa insect, green. And I was very surprised when I went out of the hypnosis session because I would have never imagined an alien in that form. I would, and after that, sorry.
How large? How
yes.
relative to you was she in size?
It was tall. It was taller than. I was a child when I contacted her, so I cannot. But I feel like an adult person or even bigger.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of love, and she was with me until I was like 16 or 17, and then one day she told me with her mind that she had to leave because. Now I was ready to live my life, and when I came out of the hypnosis session, I was crying because of the feeling I had for this entity, or the love, and because I miss her. And when I think about her, it's like, oh my God, maybe it's all in my imagination, but I really miss this being because. The kind of love that she expressed in our communication was something I haven't experienced with a human being. So
I have, if you don't mind,
yes?
I can tell you a little bit what I know because I interacted with a mantis, a female mantis. She was very tall. I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
Small human 10-year-old female, but in her arms I was like an infant. So she was probably 8, 9, 10 feet tall or something, very big. And she felt like pure unconditional love. There was no any kind of negative emotion in her.
So she touched you, right?
She held me.
Wow.
Anna, were you touched by your companion when you remember? Were you being touched?
Yes. She was. I was very sick when I was a child. I was always reading, and I know. I mean, my family thought I wouldn't survive, and I did. So I wonder if it was the help of her that helped me
to me
to
when
get.
I was very distraught. I was close to death too. So yes, she's a healing being.
Yes, probably. And I don't know why she chose me and she did what she did, but I'm really grateful for her presence in my life. So after that experience, I have, when I was living in Spain, I worked with publishers and I had my own collection of philosophy, and I also published comics. And Lesley was preparing a book with Wes Roberts about his experiences as a contactee and his experiences with aliens. She told me she wanted to publish it, and I talked with both of them, and I was like, okay, so which are your options? So she showed me a budget that some company had given to her, and I said, oh my God, that's too much. I mean, I can't do that. and it will not be so expensive. And of course I will, because I had this also I had a design company. So what I wanted to do is this was like the seed for a new project for me, because I thought these kind of experiences, not only aliens, but, everything that is related to magic, to fantasy, everything that opens our eyes to a new reality that deserve a place to publish, where authors didn't feel judged, and where authors could have a good product with a lot of quality, with a beautiful cover, with beautiful fonts, so that when they have their book, that it's the manifestation of their experience, it's their vehicle for connecting with other people. They could have something they were proud of at all levels. So that's how I started Prometea Press in Toronto. And the first read was with Wes Roberts and Lesley Clark that is called Intersections. And it is a very interesting book because it connects the ability, all the experiences that Wes Roberts went through, a few of them, because he's working now on another book. So there will be news sometime. And so were some of his experiences and the sessions of hypnosis that he had with Lesley Clark. So I thought that was a very interesting book, and we published it. And Lesley is a great marketer, and so working together, we got the public television on Canada on a national level to come to the book launch, and people like you connecting with you and the authors being able to talk about their book. It was wonderful. I'm really proud of the projects and the collaboration with these two wonderful authors. And the interesting thing about the book is that many books are about the terrible things aliens do, and this book is the contrary. It's about how being in contact with aliens, we are changed for the best. Not all aliens are like that, because everybody has different experiences. But many of them are here to guide us and to help us. That's my feeling. And we as human beings, we need to really develop our knowledge of how we work, of knowledge of our subconscious mind, how it triggers us and avoid us to get to our best selves. And that is one of the reasons I got interested also in astrology, because I discovered through astrology I could help people to free themselves from the patterns that they have inherited from their families, from generations of sadness, of bad decisions, of reactions that are not appropriated. And when you look at the natal chart, it's not just me who says this. Carl Jung, the psychologist of the subconscious, he used to do an astrological chart for his clients, so that he could know more about them than what he could get from merely an interview. So it's all, and these needs I have for
I just want to slow this down a little bit. Okay,
yes,
so
sure.
You're saying that using an astrological chart, I don't know if I heard you right, that you can work with people on their issues they have with their parents and their programming or something?
Yes, that's it. Yes, with the programming.
How does that work?
Yeah, the issue is that we are programmed with different reactions to our environment according with what our family reacted to different qualities of energy. So we are part not only of our parents, our family, and our society. So depending on how our society reacts to a particular quality of energy, we are talking about astrology. So I use the vocabulary of energy, and not in a physical way, okay? Not like in science. I'm talking about Mars, for example, is a planet, and it's related to the quality of fight, of will, of wanting things, of movement. So all those qualities are Mars, so that those who don't know anything about astrology understand that. So when you have an energy of, for example, Neptune, that is a lot of love, a lot of compassion, and at the same time you have a lot of energy of Mars, Pluto, that is like a lot of strength. I want this and I will do anything to get that. Those energies look contradictory from a human point of view. So you can decide, I am compassive, I'm very lovely, and I don't have anything of Mars or Pluto. I don't want anything. I'm just here to help the others. And then suddenly you find out that that many people who approaches you are very aggressive, because you are attracting that part of yourself that you don't recognize in yourself. So what I do with my counseling, astrological counseling, is to help people to discover which parts of themselves are not recognizing, and so they become destiny. So it's the typical question, why is I always attracting the same kind of people? Or why is it that this always happened to me? I didn't do anything for this to happen. But it's because the energy works in cycles, and we are attracting every time everything that we are. And we attract that in a bad way if we don't recognize it. Because if I recognize that Mars...
Can you give us like an example of a person that you work with? And so you're getting somebody's chart, and they're asking you, why does this happen to me all the time? And you're able to see from their chart.
Yes. So, for example, a person who was really very, very organized. She was really very organized, and she worked for the government. And she like, it was a very, very boring work. And she didn't really like it, but it gave her a lot of security. So she had many accidents that didn't allow her to work, because there was an energy of freedom in herself that she was not recognizing. So the only freedom that she could recognize in herself was being sick. So when we talk about that, and I ask her, okay, what would you consider that is freedom for yourself? She said, well, I would like to go dancing. Something so stupid like that. I would like to go dancing. But she started to go dancing, and she met somebody dancing. And then this person proposed her a business that was more with her, because she liked to paint, and this guy wanted to put like a gallery, and she had some knowledge because she had studying arts. And so she left her job, and she has not had any more accidents. Because
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
she wasn't true to herself. She was working a job she didn't like, so she kept creating accidents for herself. And you saw that in her chart. What was
I didn't know how she could. I didn't know how she could solve it. And sometimes you cannot solve certain things. I'm not going to tell you I can solve everything with astrology. That's not true. But in many cases, people start to realize what is not working, and just little steps takes you to great changes in your life. And when you balance all these energies that you have, if you are able to, because there are certain energies that you cannot balance because they are not balanced by humanity. So we are in a very small step in our evolution as a species. So that's so sometimes you just realize there is a conflict there, but at least you don't feel like it's my fault. It's something that is beyond what I can do right now, but I can put consciousness, and then I don't react in the same way. And then because I don't react in the same way, the outcomes many times changes. And at least I'm not suffering unnecessarily for that. So it's very complex, but it's a path to freedom from many patterns that we have inherited and that are not working anymore. So why are we attached to continue doing them? Because we don't think there is any other option. And in a way, when you work, sorry?
I'm just agreeing. So we get attached because we don't think there's any options. And so our subconscious creates, Sasha has a question. Go ahead.
No, it's not a comment. What you're describing is exactly what we do in the psychology of centering that I practice. Whatever you're identified with in the conscious level, you can count on a vulnerable unconscious or instinctual unconscious balancing it, and you can find those things in what annoys you in other people or you overly admire. Those are your disowned or underdeveloped personality parts, and when you can embrace them, just as you're doing with your astrology, and feel both of them inside yourself, you have more options. And so that those are Jungian terms, of course, but we do the exact same thing. We just have different words for it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the vocabulary. But yes, because it's the same human being. I mean, we are all made of the same stuff, and if something works, it's because we are working with the same qualities, the same categories, even if we have different vocabulary. That's very interesting. I would like to know more about that, Dr. Sasha. So and continuing with this intake. Oh, sorry.
Well, the great thing about what you're doing is that it even just a drop of awareness doesn't go away once people get the idea. Even if it doesn't drastically alter things, it's enough for them to reflect, which they couldn't do before they had that awareness. So it's an awakener.
Yeah, and I, as part of my work, trying to acquire more consciousness and awareness, and also helping others, I'm a member of TESA. That is the experiencer. The Experiencer Support Association, and I think you have already interviewed Ryan Stacey, and if you haven't, he will be here, of course. And I really like it because Ryan Stacey, what he has done is to join the paranormal field and the alien field. That were like, okay, I have had experiences with aliens, but the paranormal people are crazy, or vice versa. And he has discovered that if many people have experiences, and they say they are ghosts or they are aliens, depending on the culture. But at the end, the same kind of abductions are happening. So it's like we are not going to let people to be fooled by words and to really be able to tell their experiences and have some help. So I'm collaborating with them, and they just released a new podcast that is called, a new series of podcasts that is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. So every Thursday they are going to release a new podcast. The people who involved in this are James Dalzell, that is the hoster, and then it's co-hosted by Diana Palazzo and Ryan Stacey. So it's very interesting because they talk about aliens, paranormal, all kind of things, and it's a very good point if somebody doesn't have much information, or if they have and want to see how these things work together, to listen to these people who are really into the stuff. I really admire the work that Ryan is doing in TESA. It's amazing.
What is your role with them? For them?
Sorry? Yeah, good.
What do you do for them?
Well, I have written an article for them, and I collaborate in some of their events, and then I am there to help. I mean, with my skills as publishers and an astrologer, I'm there for helping the people who join, who approaches TESA in search of help. So if somebody needs help with publishing their story or needs help with astrological counseling, I'm there for them.
Wonderful. So this, what do you want to talk about next? I want to go back to the book a little bit more. Tell us more of your stories and more of. So Wes was the one that got regressed, and Lesley is the therapist, the hypnotherapist.
Yes.
Give us some of the stories from that book, especially the ones that are relevant to your story, and how do they interconnect or relate to one another?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things, he didn't know what was happening until he started to do hypnosis. So that makes me think how many people are being, and that's the same as me, how many people are going through this kind of experiences and they don't know anything about that. So it's because how many people has hypnosis sessions to check out if something is there? I don't think many people in the world. So I wonder how big this is. It's right. Something that is happening because we don't really have any statistics because people don't go. In fact, when I was a child, I loved the alien stuff, and suddenly at 17, I stopped looking at anything related to that. And I now that I'm talking with you, I'm connected this with my experience with the mantis. That probably it was because I miss her. And I didn't want to know anything about that. Maybe I was angry. I don't know. But it was, I just stopped. Suddenly I thought that's not real, I thought, in my consciousness. So it's...
I'm sorry, she has modeled, the mantis for both of you has modeled love, unconditional, kinesthetically transmitted, energetically transmitted love. And so whether you're with your manti or not, you now have that as part of your awareness, that the part of you can love yourselves the way she showed you.
Yes, that's totally true. And it's something I have been very interested in my life to develop a degree of compassion. And I have worked very actively in doing that. And probably it's now that you say that, it's her gift.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So other thing. Sorry.
Did you have any other experiences, anything particular with your mantis or any other beings that was recovered under hypnosis or that you remember?
I only have made the session so far. I want to go through more, and it was only connected to this. But I probably had some bad experiences because whenever I read or hear stories about the gray, I get very scared. And I love horror movies. I love really dark stuff like Stephen King and things like that. And when I read or see something about the grays, I get really, really upset. So I suspect there is something there hidden, but I don't remember it consciously.
Interesting. Do you have trouble sleeping, or when do you find yourself experiencing the most fear around thoughts around the grays?
Yes, sometimes, but normally I sleep well, but sometimes, yes, I have fear. Like some days I wake up very, very tired, and the next day I don't want to go to sleep because I'm a little scared, or a lot. So yeah, something's going there. Something is.
Yeah, I noticed that I would run, I would jump in and out of bed, like I was afraid that something was going to grab me.
Yes.
And then I would analyze my action. I go, what are you afraid of? What's going on? Why are you making this dangerous leap from so far away into the bed, And
yes.
But back then, they didn't have these stories. So at least now there's an awareness that there are grays and abductions. But, okay, so did you have something to say? Okay. So then what was going on with Wes Roberts?
Yeah, so I really like when the introduction he talks about his first conscious experience, because he went to look for help because he was really scared. He couldn't sleep at all. I mean, he had terrible insomnia and he was going through a nightmare. So the only thing he had was a conscious experience of something that was like a dream, but it was not a dream. One of the things more interesting from Wes is that he's able to categorize the difference between a dream and something that is not a dream, but what he calls a staged experience. Like some alien entities, they want us to go through certain scenarios, probably because they are studying our reactions, or I don't know what they want. That's just guessing. But Wes relates an experience he had many years ago when he was in he dreamed he was in an airport. And he was with a being whose face he didn't see. And this being was talking with him, and they were in an airport, and they were seeing a plane that was landing off or taking off. Sorry, and suddenly the plane exploded, and he was really, really scared. And he looked at the being, and then suddenly he was inside the plane, and the plane was flying, and he knew the plane was going to crash. And this could look like a normal dream, but it was not. It didn't have that quality. He knew that it was the story continued, but he knew this was something extraordinary he had the feeling that it was not a dream. I mean, when the scenery changed totally, but while he was inside the story, things didn't change. I mean, in dreams, you see a glass, you take the glass, you move the glass, and it's not a glass anymore, it's a jar. Things mutate, things change. And what Wes experienced was that things were like it was in a solid world, not like a world of dreams, while he was there. And in one of these experiences, he was inside another person that was him. It was like a parallel world where he was in contact with another being who was himself, but in another parallel world. And he had a real case of identity of who am I? Because my identity is my memories, but this guy I am right now is another person, has a different family, has a different job, and I don't recognize any of these, but at the same time, I know this person is me. So he went through all kind of experiences, and they are related in the book, and some of them are full of wonder about memories, about how we have to remember not only our alien encounters, but also who we are from other lives. So it has like for on the one hand some extraordinary experiences that cannot be explained, and on the other hand some spiritual knowledge that really touched my heart when I read it. So it's a wonderful book that is full of and it's so honest. I mean, that somebody like Wes Roberts decides to really go ahead and put himself out there and let people know who he is and what he has gone through. Well, I think that every person that does that is an act of bravery. And I'm really glad of having worked with him in this process, because it's amazing. It's really amazing.
I want to go back to the experience of he found himself in another body.
Yeah.
And he didn't know if that was him or somebody else. Or so what was his conclusion? See, what sometimes I find myself on different planets and I have a different job. I'm not really noticing my body. I guess I should make a note to myself, look and see what you look like. But I'm just like going about. So, but he noticed his body.
Yes.
What was different about that body than his human body?
His body was a human body, was the body of a person, of a man, and he had a family, but he had not the same face, if I recall it properly. It was just another person, but sorry.
He was a human and he was male, but he was a different human, a different race. Was he the same race?
I don't know. I don't think those details are in the book. So I cannot answer that. But he doesn't say anything about that, so I guess it was the same, because if it was a different, probably he would have mentioned it, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. Yeah, and all this experience with all these, and because I have many years of studies also of magic and other things, all this I am putting it into my fiction work as a writer. So it's So my last novel that I'm now in the process of publishing it. It's called Kalala, The Black Inside, and it's about a Congolese young woman who is fighting because she is running away from a demon who is trying to possess her. And the interesting thing about this story is that it's part reality, because in Congo there are many children who are accused of being possessed. They are called the witch children, and they are brutally exorcised. Some of them die, and if the Catholic priest consider that is not exorcised, they have to live in the street without help of anybody. So there are groups of children in Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, it's also in Nigeria, I think. But I mean, my character is from Congo, and it's where the story starts. And it's not all reality, because this entity that is after her is real and powerful. The story is about how she deals with this and her needs of being. It's about power. I mean, this black demon, this black inside, is something she needs to work with. Like you were talking about, Dr. Sasha, about the part of ourselves that we don't recognize. So it's a journey of self-discovery and of recognizing of her own inheritance. So I have put in that all. I mean, it's a fantasy story, but at the same time, it's full with all the knowledge I have gathered with astrology, magic, alien encounters, and it's what infuse all my work. Doesn't matter what I do. It's to open new doors to consciousness.
Way cool. I like it.
So,
yeah, any human impulse that's pushed down eventually becomes demonic and overpowers the working ego.
Exactly. Yeah, we sometimes need a demon in our lives to open the ego to new worlds.
It completes us, makes us a fuller person. Yes.
So what is a young girl? She's young, right? She's a child.
She starts being 13, then she travels north to Almeria, the south of Spain, and most of the novel is when she's 16, and she falls in love.
What does she learn from being possessed by a demon? Or is she possessed by a demon, or other people just think she is? What does she learn from that?
I cannot tell you what she learns because that's the end of the novel. But I can tell you that it's related to ancient mythology from the Luba people that is not well now. It turns out that there was an empire in Africa that lasted, I think, like 1,000 years or 2,000 years, a lot. And it was a very well-developed empire with a lot of wise people who were helping the king. And it was in Congo, Nigeria, other countries. I'm talking by memory, so please, people who know about this, forgive me if I'm saying something that is not true. And this country was destroyed, totally destroyed, with the colonization of the English, French people. So, so that's related to what she discovers, but I cannot say anything else. Sorry.
Okay. End the story. So that's the book you are writing. Is it complete? Have you published it yet, or?
No, this novel I am in the process of publishing. I will send you an email when it's in case you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I recently had a short play performed in Toronto, and I'm working in a new play that is called Magicians. And every time I write something, there is paranormal, there is magic, there is supernatural element, because that's what my life is. I cannot write about a woman who loses a job and is in love and then dies. It's, I mean, you understand me, Janet, I'm sure, because our lives are full of wonder, and we need to write about that. So it's what infused my writing. So a new novel I'm working on is about a woman who practiced Western esotericism, magic, for many years, and she decides to teach her two daughters. So she takes them in a travel and teaches them, and it's all real. I mean, not the woman of the children, but all that she teaches them. It's part of the teaching that people who practice magic know about. So it's, I think that what I feel is like there is a war of magic right now in this world with aliens, with the entities we contact, gods, everything. And many people don't know anything about that. So I need
So what kind of magic does she do? What are some of the things that she does in her magic? Is this like a superhero or?
Well, I don't know if you both know anything about Western esotericism, because it's a field that has been hidden for many years because of the persecution that magicians have gone through. So
educate us
Yeah, so in the well-known stuff is start with the Golden Dawn in the 19th century in England, and these magicians got some documents, and they started a group, a magical order, to do rituals to connect with the elements, to develop the self. They work with the Kabbalah, with the Tree of Life from the Kabbalistic tradition. And it's a spiritual path that connects. I'm going to make a bracket here. So many spiritual paths that we receive from the Western world, from the Eastern world, are about this world is Maya, and we need to free ourselves from the Maya. This world is not real, so we need to free ourselves from the reality and stop our minds. The Western spirituality that has Western esotericism acknowledge that this is not real, but because it's not real, we are going to have fun. So instead of rejecting the world, what the Western esotericism is about cracking reality and developing ourselves until the point in which we discover our true nature, that is gods who are sleeping. So when we discover who we are, we can get anything in reality that we truly want, not just we want. I mean, I wanted $1 million, but I don't really want that because I'm not going to work to get that kind of money. But what I really want that comes from a wish, from the desire, from the heart, that I can achieve with rituals, with connecting with the gods, and developing my true nature that is sleeping. So that's...
Wait, so what do you really want? What do you really want?
Oh, right now, my wish is to make people conscious that we are God and that we are limiting ourselves because we have forgotten.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
wow, that was not prepared.
We are God.
Yes.
How do you teach that we are God?
Sorry?
How do you teach people that are raised like Christian and they're taught that, who are you, God? You can't say that thing, but how do you teach people to rectify that in their minds?
That cannot be taught. Either you know it or you don't know it. But you can do exercises, you can work on your imagination, meditation with imagination, because imagination is a bridge to the unknown. So you can really work yourself through connecting with gods, with entities that are beyond you, like elementals from nature, like things that it doesn't matter that you believe in that. You work as if you believed in them. So you suspend the disbelief, and you just work as if they were real. So when I say gods, I'm not talking about the Christian idea of God, that is an unlimited, powerful God. I'm talking about people who are beyond this world, entities. We are entities that are much more than this physical body, entities that have conquered the fifth dimension. That's the reason we have these intuitions that avoid us accidents, or we have the ability to connect with somebody that is going to change our lives, because we know the future. And if you start to listen to your intuition, it's because you know the future. And that was called the Ankh in Egypt, the connection with with this part of ourselves that is beyond time and space, and that's the God in ourselves. So it's called differently in different traditions. It can be called the guardian angel. It can be called the self beyond ourselves. It can be called with different names, but many traditions, even the Christians one, do this work of being the Christ, or being Eka, or being the god Dionysius. Is part of our inheritance and our tradition. So it's so how do you teach it? There are many tools, and one of them is know who you are. And do you know this saying that was know who you are, know thyself? It was three parts.
Socrates.
Sorry?
Socrates.
Exactly. Yes. Well, it had three parts. One was know yourself, and you will know the universe and the gods.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's and all it's there. So it's part of a lot of work. There are many tools. There are many ways, and my only hope is that people know it's there, and it doesn't matter what path you pick up. All the paths get to the same. Our infinite consciousness, our development as being that are beyond our own physical body or physical situation.
So in your system, how do people get to know themselves?
Well, the issue with Western esotericism is that it's not a coherent system. There are many, many schools. I belong to a group that is not a group of magicians who work by themselves. We are hermitage in a way. We take a system, we study it for some time, and then we take another system and study it for some time. So it's you do the practices, you do rituals, you do meditations, you do strange things like sitting on the earth because you need to connect with the air, or looking at the sun at a certain hour because you need to connect with the sun. It's all about creating connections. That's what magic is. Creating connection with and the basics is if you connect with a god and you really become what he is, you get knowledge and skills that they have, and you become much more than what you were. But even that is not who you are. That's just the past. Because every one of us is unique, and every one of us is a different entity that is, maybe they are all the same, because I'm not there, I don't know. Maybe there is only one at the end, or maybe they are many. It's something, it's beyond my knowledge. But what I know is we are much more when we are, and through many kind of exercises, we can really connect with that and discover it. And we need help. That's the reason we need to connect. So either you call that entity you are connected with an alien or a god or an angel. It doesn't really matter. Is it helping you or is it destroying you? Because I don't mind the name they have. If they are helping you, they are good for you. It's like friends. Now, if they are saying I am the god of something and they are telling you kill this person, I wouldn't have that friend in my life.
It's interesting in the kind of psychology. Somebody is getting a thing like impulse to kill another person. We would ask them, why do you want to kill them, and what need of yours would be met if you killed them, and when did you get this desire to kill the person, and what other ways might you have to meet your need, which underlies the desire to kill? Perhaps it usually comes out to I need affection, I need attention, I need justice, and so that it's really useful in a way to see what it is that you lack, that you desperately need.
Yes, I totally agree.
Fear. Yeah.
I mean, our needs are very
the break.
Good.
I just want to give us a head. We have 1 minute before the break, so go ahead, respond to what the need thing, and then we'll.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the first things you need to do, and that's the reason there is a path that is the path of wishes. That is, you get whatever you want, and then you realize that what you wanted was not exactly what you needed, and so by trying to get what you want, you start to know yourself, and you start to know what you really wanted. And sometimes it's nothing as what you started with. So it's a
good place to stop. So mark where you are. We'll be back in 5 minutes after this commercial. See you in 5. Aloha and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio. And I'm your host, Janet Lessin, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex. Our producer, Thomas Becker. We're on Studio B, Revolution Radio. And our special guest is Anna B. Niley. But before we get back to our second half of our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over to the donation button on revolution.radio and make your donation. We could really use it. It's coming up on the Christmas season. We got behind with transferring from one location to another. But help us catch up, because we really enjoy bringing you these shows, and we want to stay on the air and keep bringing you shows like this one. Let's see, Dr. Lessin.
Yeah, it's basically I love the fusion you've made. It's the same thing Jung would have said about archetypes. That archetypes are parts of a reality other than our everyday kind of Starbucks reality. It's all there, and that's got to be integrated. But what happens with an archetype or a god in our head is that they don't have any appreciation of the everyday. And so in really good Jungian psychology, we can balance the spiritual with the everyday, the material with the cosmic. It's all there. It's all part of us, and we're part of everything. That's how I look at it.
So I'm not sure exactly where we left off, but I think we were mid-sentence. You want to complete what point you were making, and then we'll go on to the next subject.
Well, I think that the archetypes are a very interesting subject. One of the things is that they are in evolution. So it's archetypes creates how we think, but how we think also creates archetypes. So by evolution. So there are some archetypes that are still acting upon us that I think we should kill. And we should bring new archetypes that gives us new ways of relating to each other. So I think that's part of the work of the creators of stories, writers, and that's the reason everything I communicate is mostly through fiction, because that's the way to create new archetypes.
Yeah, it's interesting that some of the archetypal beings, like Prince Marduk or Satan, has said that he is indeed feeling contrite and wants to make amends about all the trouble he caused for this new age, the age of Enki, who's coming back, and that the archetypes are evolving with the times too, with our lineup with the center of the galactic core. And what would you think about that?
Well, I don't have much information about what you just said, but I think that this is a moment in humanity in which we really need to choose. the archetypes we create, and that's something that is already happening. And that's the reason that TV shows, movies are having much more importance than ever in history, because it's a moment in which we need to create new heroes that in the long run become archetypes that conform our minds.
Yeah. The thing is that the great machines of entertainment for the world emphasize killing and pain.
Yeah, but sometimes I have found that you need to get bored of things to let them go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So there's so much killing that we are getting bored as humanity, and we are looking for new stories that are not about that. And that's we are really being fed up with all these stories of killing and I kill you, so and black versus white, and you are the bad people and I am the bad white people, and we need a moment in which we get to the black and white to get together, like in that wonderful movie that was the Dark Crystal, was the name, Dark Crystal, where there were a bad race and a good race, and they at the end they get together, and that was created by Jim Henson. So it's a very beautiful story. So I think that we are in a moment of evolution, and we are ready for new archetypes that are not just killing.
I agree. We need new stories. We're getting bored with the wars. We're getting bored with violence. How many ways can you kill each other? How many ways can you die? I think we've exhausted it, Imagine people that died jumping off the Twin Towers. How did you die? Well, I grabbed my lover's hand and we leapt to our death before we blew up. It's like we've done all that. And so you're writing a book and you're creating different archetypes without giving away your book or your ideas. I think that's what we need to do, is give people something to wrap their minds around. They can't go there kind of trapped with the parameters of this theater, so we got to make the theater a different.
Well, there's some archetypes like like Jesus overthrowing the moneylenders, and that still have a lot of relevance right today.
Right.
Yeah, I don't discuss that. It's just that we need even archetypes like that sometimes need a new story. It's little nuance so that we don't get tired with it, and that's the magic of. I mean, those who we need, they are going to stay. But those who are against our evolution, they are going to die. And that's what has happened so many times. And we are in the verge of a huge change. And you probably know it as well as I do. It's a moment of huge change of archetypes. And that's going to be really interesting to see and to be part of.
Where do you see us go? Sasha had a quick question.
Well, just, it follows that what you deal with is the archetype of violence within each individual within themselves. And that does change the archetype of what do you do with your anger? What I do with it is I meditate on it to see what's causing it. And if there's some effective, ecologically sane way of expressing it in my world, and that's something to do with it. When an archetype calls itself to your attention, that means it's time for you to give feedback of what your life is like and what other parts of you there are that it has to take into consideration. I'm not into killing myself. I think that the things that are evil just need to be understood enough so that you can get to the vulnerability that's motivating their evil, and you can unwind it. I've done that with a number of clients, and I'm sure you have too.
Yes, totally. I totally agree, because in the heart of every violence, it's fear, and it's a bounded heart, and it's sometimes ignorance of what you are creating in the world. So it's really interesting to work with this, and as we work with that, in a way, we are changing that in the world. Even if we don't write about that, even if we don't talk about that, we are creating new patterns that are going to resonate with the rest of the people. And for example, sometimes I have had counseling where the person who came to me, they have a problem I had not already solved. and sometimes I realized by seeing it in them what was not working, and I have fixed it in myself as much as I have been able to.
Yes.
And like magic, the person changes and see it, even if I don't say anything.
That's beautiful.
Yes, it's something that so and I believe when a person comes to me with a problem, it's because I need to work with that. It's part of me, and she's part of who I am, and every connection is meaningful, like the one we are having right now in this program. So I'm seeing things I didn't know.
And I'm learning things from you minute to minute. This is very exciting to me.
And we all learn from each other. I was drawn to the money changer Jesus story, and I thought maybe a rewrite would be he comes in and said, "Hey, let's talk about how we can do this differently." Instead of getting all pissed off and throwing a temper tantrum.
Well, this other Canadian fellow, Glenn Bogue, says in essence that Jesus was just one of the contemporary manifestations of Enki or Aquarius, and that he indeed we are now under his age, the age of Aquarius, and time for harmony and understanding,
peace and love, abounding. I forget the word.
Number of falsehoods or derisions. Dreams and visions, and the mind's true liberation.
I agree. And the interesting thing about archetypes is that they have two faces always, because we as humanity is like, no, if you are a good person, you cannot be a bad person, but we are both. And if there is an angel, there must be a demon, and in fact, they are the same thing. So I think that when we have figures as complex as Jesus or others, it's easy to get attached to the light part, or even the dark part if you are in a very dark space, but not to be attached to the other. So I think that one of the good things about archetypes that are really complex is to see both faces and to accept both. I don't like that part, but what is telling me? So it's why I don't like that part. What's making me so upset? As you said, what's behind that?
What is it? What the persons that you would think you want killed, or you think they should be killed? Is there a part of you that other parts think should be killed?
I think so, because when you really don't, when somebody is doing something that doesn't really matter to you, I mean, it's something so alien to you that you don't really get any, I don't know, it's very complex. I mean, I don't want to kill anybody anyway, but when I really
think so.
But when I really get upset with somebody, it's normally because it's or either because it's a part of me, or either because she or he are talking about things I don't want to change. Like if I have some beliefs, that beliefs we attach to our beliefs because they are a part of our identity, And William James explained that it was something that we did, that we don't want to change our beliefs. So if I have a belief that is very strong, I would fight against that person, because if I accept their beliefs, I'm going to change. I'm going to lose myself. I'm going to stop being who I was, and be attached to a new belief. And that's something that is very, very scary. So those kind of things happen to me often. And when it happens, I try to realize, okay, what I am trying to protect, what idea am I trying to protect? And sometimes I can be flexible, sometimes it's beyond my possibilities. There are some core things inside me that are very difficult to change or to be flexible, because they touch some wounds that are not still truly healed. And sometimes we need to respect our limits. Like, okay, you cannot learn this now, that's okay, just tap on the head and kisses and hugs and go to other things. I don't think we need to solve everything in one day or even in one life.
Yeah, it's a process. We call it an aware ego process, where your center or aware ego gets larger and larger as you incorporate more and more of the things that you thought are not me, or you realize they're you too. And the things that you judge are always done by people just like you. They just are different parts are in the foreground. And if they bug you or you overly admire them, that's your hint that what you're judging is really something inside yourself that you're projecting out and reading in others.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with that. And it's a beautiful vocabulary, by the way. Yeah, that's a process that is always going. It's an ongoing process, and it doesn't end. And I don't think even it ends when we are dead, because I'm sure after that we learn a lot of things, and we have also a different ego, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's really useful. One of the exercises that we do is we go to our own funerals in our imagination. We have each person of significance come before us, and we finish our unfinished business, have a conversation. We write our own epitaph, and we go to the next place, and we have a life review, and so forth. And so you can do some of it while you're still in the flesh.
Yes, that's really useful. In one of my magical works I did, I had to do something similar. I had to sustain the posture of death, and while I was in that posture, that is it's like the thinker, in fact. Like, you put your head over your hand, and that was supposed to be the posture of death. And then while you were in that posture, you just realized that you were dead, and you said goodbye to everything. And the first days I did that, because I had to do it daily, I was really upset. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't want to do it. And I was and at a certain point I was very sad doing it. Oh my God, I'm dead. I couldn't do things, blah, blah, blah. And then after, I think a week or something, one day I was doing it, and it was so much freedom. It was like, oh my God, it's over. Everything is over. I don't have to worry anymore about what I have to do. Oh, so it was such a release.
It's over.
Yeah. It was like when you go, you have to do something, and it's a lot of work and preparation, and then it's over, and it's like, oh my God, good. So, yeah, I felt really, really released, and that changed my perception about death.
One of the best parts is now that you're dead, you can't do anything about it. But now that you're dead, some decision you were trying to make and couldn't make, now you know what you should have done.
That's true. That's totally true.
Yeah. I should have had a VPN.
No, I mean, being in this world is a lot of work. I'm sure I was very sick when I was young, because I didn't really want to be in this body. But now I'm used to it, and I am enjoying it a lot. It's living is an acquired taste, I must say.
Well, you wrote here about your collaboration with TESA. I'm curious, what does that mean? How did you collaborate with TESA? Isn't he dead?
Well, I am on the first stages. I could say that more than me collaborating with them, they have collaborated with me. Because, for example, when we did the launch of Intersections book of Wes Roberts and Leslie Mitchell Clark, they were there for everything. They did a lot of posting in social media. They were there supporting us. That was really appreciated. So my collaboration with them is just starting. So what I have done is, because they are giving a home to people who couldn't go to any other place. They are giving the possibility of people to talk about their experiences. The problem is, if I am abducted by a spirit, I cannot go to an alien association. And if I have an alien experience and I have things that are moving in the house, I cannot talk to an alien or paranormal association, because they are considered phenomena that are not related to each other. So what TESA is doing is to give a space for people to consider that many of these things are related. So what I do is just to offer my help, and to so far, because I have been a little time there, I haven't had any person who has come to me for help. But I have helped Ryan because he's writing a book. So as a publisher, yes, I'm helping him with some comments on what he is trying to write. So it's an ongoing process to establish an organization that can help people to go out of labels and start thinking, okay, this is happening, and I need help. And it doesn't matter that I think it's a demon or an alien or a person from my neighborhood who is making a curse against me. I really need help. and also another thing that they are doing is to do a lot of statistics with these kind of experiences. They are doing many interviews. And with those statistics, they are looking for patterns. What's happening? Where is happening? And if we have the data, if we have the information, maybe we can guess why. And so that's an ongoing collaboration. I am very excited of belonging to TESA, because Ryan is such a wonderful person. He's full of enthusiasm, and he's moving so many things at the same time. I'm really amazed. But right now, I'm just starting.
Yeah, no, listen, I get that you've got so many more stories. You've got to go back and do more hypnosis. Your story has got way more chapters in it.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree. And there is another kind of content that I forgot to mention, because it's something very personal, but it's not. I am plenty conscious. I am conscious of them, because it's some kind of blue entities that are teaching me things. So I don't know if they are gods, if they are aliens, if they are fifth dimension. I think that they are fifth dimension entities. Yes, that's something that has been happening in the last 2 years. I have dreamed with them. They show me things, and then the things happen, and they are guiding me to a development of something. I'm not really sure still where it's taking me, so I don't want to give much information about this, but I really feel lucky for being in contact with them, whatever they are. I call them the blue people because I don't have much information about what they are really, and because every time I connect with them, there is something blue. So
something blue.
Yes,
have
the
you
blue is
invited contact? One of the things that we work with experiencers, and you can invite contact. So like you have an awareness on some level that they're contacting you, and you invite them to, update.
I have the feeling that I probably have done it, but not myself. A part of myself that is in a parallel world, because I have been in contact with. So that has, in a way, go through the veil from that world to my world. And my first connection was with dreams, where I was this other person, and I remembered I had to do something related to them. And at the beginning was very weird, because I would wake up with this other consciousness that was not myself, and remembering this thing that was not in my life, until I started to get dreams and I started to connect the dots, and I realized that I was having these memories from parallel world, or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, because I connected with that, and after that I started to get direct connections with them, and they have given me some useful tools that I have checked, and they work. So I don't know if they work for other people. But they work definitely for me. And I am still in the process of testing that with other people to see if something that I can explain, or it's just something personal. So I don't have enough data to say if this is going to be useful for other people, but it's very interesting. It's related to the multiverse, and it's related to our development as being.
When they're in contact with you, what does the energy feel like? What is it? What is subjectively
I feel
like to you?
I feel like if I was a little child, and especially in the dreams, they are teaching me something, and it's always something practical, and they put me through that, and I don't want to do it, and they repeat until I learn to do it. And if I don't learn in a dream, they come 3 or 2 or 4 nights, and they repeat until I get it, and I'm able to do it. But it's like, wow. I feel like they are really huge, like something I cannot even understand. And I know they are there. I say they because I think it's something collective. I don't feel like a personal entity, but yeah, there is, and they never come when I call them. It's like they have their schedule, and they teach me what they want to teach me when it's the moment, and they don't stop until I learn it. And then they go away. And then, I don't know, maybe 1 week or 1 month or 2 months later, they come back and teach me something else. So it's really weird for me, because I mean, I used to have connections with gods, but in a ritual space, I open the space, I meditate, I connect. Sometimes they can come from their own will because we are already friends or something, but this is something completely different. And
what's one thing that they taught you?
Hmm? Sorry?
What is one of the things they taught to you?
Well, one of them was to one of them was to cross doors, and they took me into a space where there were doors, and it was like a permeable space, and when they pushed me through a door, and it was really hard to go through that door. It was like going through a place where there is a lot of wind or something that is like water, but even there said that water, and I had to cross through that, and they pushed me until I crossed, and I didn't want to cross because it was not painful, but it was really, I didn't like it. I cannot explain the feeling.
Wow.
But,
so you learned to go pass through. You learned how to pass through.
Then they came 3 nights, passing me through the door, and at the end of the 3 nights, I realized that I had been selected for a plane. After going through that door, because it was like 3 days they needed for me to go through that door, my life had changed. So I said, okay, is that related to the door or not? It's like a door, because they don't speak, they don't give me any theory. It's just the experience, and I don't even know I could understand them. So I just think things, but I don't know if they are giving it or it's just deduction. So it's very inhuman. So at the end of that time, I went through that door, and suddenly my life changed because I was offered something I had never done. So I decided to do my own experiment after I understood what had happened. And again, I did it willingly this time. And when I did willingly, it was not so difficult. So in fact, what I was facing in that door was my own resistance. And again, something changed completely in my life. So my understanding is that crossing those doors makes I step onto a parallel option in my life, like a parallel life that was a possibility that was not actual there, but it changed because I crossed that door. So in a way, it's our doors to parallel. Yeah. So that's something they have taught me, and other things. So that was like the first, and it was difficult to learn because I was like, what's going on? I don't want them to come back and push me through that door.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had other parallel lives experiences. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yours? I've told mine on the show a number of times, but I find that I have this other job at night when I go to sleep. I'm working. I go to this other place. I have this it's a large city I'm in. They have a whole different economic exchange system. They don't really have money. It's more like barter and exchange, and they're much happier, freer people.
Artistic,
and they're very high art. It's almost body. They have so much art. Everything is so artistic. And the energy is much higher. It's a different vibratory frequency. What are some of the things that you're experiencing? And I noticed in the book that Wes said he had terrifying fragments of trips into alternate realities.
Terrifying.
And mine have been blissful. I come back and I'm very happy. Are yours terrifying, or what's the emotional feeling around your experiences into alternative realities?
I haven't gone yet. I mean, the alternative realities I can go to right now are those related to this world. And I have had experiences with people from those other alternative realities, but I haven't really, as far as I'm aware of, I haven't really gone through those other worlds that are not really related to this one in a full, that are completely different from this one. Not yet, because I suspect one of the last tools they gave me was for that, but I haven't explored it. So I cannot tell you that, but the experience right now with everything they give me is a lot of resistance, and then when I have to do it's like, oh, that's wonderful. And so no, I don't have any bad experiences with alternate realities. I think that the experience of Wes with those things was because on the one hand he didn't know what was happening. I mean, you suddenly wake up in a body that is not yours, in a life that is not yours. You have the memories of your own life, and you don't know what's going on. I mean, this happened to him many years ago. He didn't have the knowledge that he has now, and also he was the subject of some kind of experiment where his feelings were not really respected, I think, and that must be really very bad. What you are telling me, it's more like a connection with your other self, like real connection with that other woman. Yeah. Or if it is a woman, I don't know if you said if it is a woman.
Yeah,
but
I think it's female. Most. Mm-hmm. I remember a lot of past lives, and I've had some where I'm male, but I'm mostly female. And even when I'm male, I'm like a short male or very petite man. Yeah. Small. My husband's 6 foot, and it's like, why am I always shortchanged every lifetime?
Yeah, I know he's tall. Well, I don't know, but in my last life, I was a man, and I have many lives where I am a man and a tall man. And as a woman, I'm very tall. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm like in a crowd, and my neck hurts from looking up at everybody. Anyway,
elevators smell different to you.
Elevators smell different to me. Now he's really gonna laugh. Okay.
Very good.
No, that's harder at his own joke than Sasha. He gets going. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right.
Please.
We are on the last, 15 minutes or so. Yeah, 30 and 49. What would you like to cover? What do you want our listeners to know most about you and your work, your philosophical studies, and the new podcast from TESA? He's still out there. Come on, get up here.
Well, I think one of the things I would like to say is that I was talking to you about Western esotericism, and it's not known. One of the reasons is because magicians don't speak about this, because the first thing we learn is to keep silence. Silence. So there are many magicians out there, and you will never know. Practical magicians. So one of the reasons I have decided to talk about this is because I think that must change. Because we need magic in our lives. I don't mind how do you call it, psychokinesis, or I don't know. I don't mind that they call it psionics power or modern terms. It's all about magic. It's all about our ability to change our consciousness and change the world we live in. And if we change ourselves, the world we live in, it changes, and then we can connect with other entities, with other worlds, with multiverses, with universes we never dreamed they were out there. So I think that that's something important that the world needs to know about. And that's the reason I have broken the silence that most of magicians have, because there are so many bad stories about ritual magic. I mean, every time you see a person with a robe in a movie, you know he's going to kill somebody. And that's the archetype of the magician. And that's not true.
Are you getting any pushback? Are the magicians' unions saying anything?
There are not unions. There are, how do you call it, magical orders or temples, but they don't, many of them are secrets. Many of them, they are not secret. They are in the internet, but their members are not public. And there's a few that are public and receive a lot of threats from Christian people.
Oh.
Yeah, because magicians have been accused of terrible things during the. I mean, it started with Joan d'Arc that connected with God,
yeah,
and she was burned, and that what started the witches' prosecution, and after that the magicians' prosecution. And because the practices we have are very pagan, and there is a history of prosecution of these practices. They were taken out from universities when the first universities were created, because they were Christian universities. And then with the Illustration, they were still more prohibited, because they were not part of the rational practices. So magic is an intersection between religion and science, because we do practices and we check if they work, and if they don't work, they are not good. And at the same time, we have a spiritual relationship with gods, with entities. And it's something that is starting to be studied in the university. There is a Center for Study of Western Esotericism in Amsterdam, but it's privately funded. It's possible because somebody who had a lot of money decided to come to this scholar and Luther Hanegraaff to establish this center of studies in the University of Holland. But no public university, no public funds are used to study this kind of things, because they don't want it, because we are still a threat. And I wonder, why are we a threat? Because we create free people that are able to think by themselves. I don't know.
What do you think of Aleister Crowley?
Well, he was one of the great magicians. He has been accused of terrible things. He developed a lot of tools for magic and learned a lot from the Golden. He was part of the Golden Dawn, and he considered himself a white magician. And he saw what was going to happen. He has been demonized in the movies and things like that, but he was just a ritual magician that did his work and developed a lot of things, and some things went well, some things didn't go so well. But his books are really a very good source to learn magic.
Did you see the show Strange Angel on CBS that was about Aleister Crowley? Strange Angel. Yeah. What did you think of that show?
No, I haven't seen it, so I cannot say. But Aleister Crowley was considered a bad person, and he was accused of doing black magic when he was because he tried to. The thing he did was sexual magic. He practiced sexual magic because he wanted to create a divine child. And he had a fight with one of the women who worked with him, and they ended in the tribunals, and she won. So that was a terrible thing for him, but she shouldn't have thought what she wrote about him. but he was just a magician, and he was in the England, very Puritan, very conservative, and his practices were considered terrible because oh my God, he was having sex out of the marriage. So
right.
I mean, and then from that, the legend has been created because every time a person is a magician and becomes famous, all kind of stuff is it's put on their shoulders. And Aleister Crowley is a perfect example of that. He decided to go public, and people ate him alive. So
they sensationalized his life on this series. It was very interesting, though. It only lasted 2 seasons and it's been canceled. But they were tying it in with NASA, the creation of JPL Labs, and how Jack Parsons used sex magic to manifest the contract with the government. A very interesting theory. That sounds
good. I will take a look.
Yeah, it's on CBS. You can binge watch it, I'm sure. I don't know. I think CBS All Access. You have to pay for it.
But we do the same thing in Tantra, where you take the coherent energy of more than one person and manifest with it.
Right. So
that's it. Yeah. I mean, there are
many magic. Besides thinking of the magician on the stage, are we able to manifest, bring things in from the idea concept into the third dimensional physicality?
You can do it, but you can do it. One of the things where magic works very well is on luck. So you need something you can attract that thing to your life, and you can do a ritual to attract that thing. And sometimes you can manifest things, but you never know if you really manifested them because they were there before you asked for them. So, the problem with magic is there is always a rational explanation for what happened. Even if the possibilities were 1 in 1 million, the possibility was there. So it was magic with acting or not. So you are never really sure that the work, the ritual worked, but you can get into a reasonable assurance that it worked. Like, okay, I wanted a friend of mine recently. She has been looking for a job for, I think, 10 years. And she told me, okay, I want to work. And she was doing a lot of things. So she was in the pay, she was in the path to get, because she didn't want any job. She wanted a particular job. She was in the path to get that job. So, but she told me, okay, I want this. And I told her, okay, do this. And exactly 1 month after, she got a call and got the job she had been pursuing for 10 years. And I have found what with my magic, many times it's manifested after a moon. I don't know why. Probably the moon effect, the cycle of the moon effect. Sometimes it's at the next day, but many times it's a month after. So was it the ritual that she did? Or what is just because she had done all that work and it was just synchronicity or just a casuality? You never know. So that what people say, no, you are believing in things that are not real, and because you don't know for sure, but there is a certain feeling that I have when things are going to work. And I don't have that feeling when things are not going to work. So it's something very subjective, but with certain things, I know it's going to work. And it works. And then you see there is related. And I have some rituals that are like, okay, it was impossible that both conditions that you asked were fulfilled at the same time, the same day, and it was not possible that you, by a subconscious way, you made that happen. So it worked. This worked. So yeah, you can manifest a full new life.
So be careful what you're focusing on. You might manifest it. Yeah.
Oh, well, the other way of looking at it in existentialism, we say that whatever you've got is what you intend, whether you're conscious of it or not.
Yeah. Well, it's not only about wishful thinking. It's not always about only wish, like I want that and I think about that. Magic is much more complex. And sometimes if you don't work on yourself and you don't change the blockages that are there, it's not going to work. And even when it works, sometimes it puts you in such a problem that you have to deal with it.
That's right. One of the things that George Bernard Shaw said, that the second worst thing that can ever happen to a man is to get the woman he loves as his wife.
That's totally that's totally true. And so because we are used to not get what we want. So when you really get what you want, you have to deal with the results and you have to deal with the consequences, and you cannot undo what you wanted. So that's the reason I think magic is a high risk spirituality, because you really get what you want, and then you know who you are, and then you have to deal with both.
Right.
That's not easy.
Like the Rolling Stones, you don't always get what you want, but you find sometimes you get just what you need. So
and that's another.
What you need.
Yeah. Sometimes you do magic. The funny thing about magic that I have found, and that's my personal experience, and other magicians I have talked with has the same, but I don't know if it's universal, is that when I started, I always got what I wanted. And that was not good. And now I get more what I need.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. We have 2 minutes before the end of the show. How do people reach you, and what's your next project?
So, you can find my information at prometeapress.com or abneely.com. Both are ways to contact me. My email is there and everything. And my next project is I am in contact with persons that want to work with Prometea Press. So there will be new exciting news. But because I not only publish, I'm also a coach for authors. They contact me when they are starting. It's like, I want to write this book, and then I help them to write the book because there are professional authors out there who know how to write a book, but there are people who really need to tell their story, and they don't know how to do it. So they contact me even just with the idea, and then I tell them what to do. So I have a few of those right now. So I guess that in 1 or 2 years, I will have some of those published. And then I'm working in this play that is called Magicians. That is going to be very, very interesting because it's about real magicians doing real rituals on stage. And it's and why not? I'm going to publish Kalala, the Black Insight, and so many new exciting things in my life. I don't think I have time.
It sounds great. I think we're out of time.
Thank you so much.
There's the music.
Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Contact you. I need some help on my book. Right.
Good.
I'm stuck.
I will. All right. Wonderful. See you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Blessings.